Good evening, I'm Larry Rasco, and this is what's happening in 2 Country. Most of Houston is hoping the city will be quiet tonight and that there will be no repetition of last night's violence in Moody Park. 18 people were hurt, 22 arrested after a confrontation between police and Mexican Americans. Governor Dolph Briscoe has conceded the election. John Hill has taken the Democratic nomination for governor without a runoff. 4 people have died in a plane crash in Montgomery County, and a bank has been held up in Pasadena. I'll have those stories and all the news. Bill Worrell is here with sports news, and Doug Johnson takes a look at the weather in 2 Country tonight on the Big 2 News at 6.
Shh. Rotary Quiet Central Air by Fedders. So quiet, inexpensive, long-lasting. 21st century technology. Fedders. Fedders.
Caesar for Cristabella.
Buongiorno. Ma cosa bella Cristabella. Ma non dice la vina al cocktail.
He says in Italy we have something like your happy hour, except we have many of them before meals, during meals, or after meals. And we drink at cocktail times a wine like Cristabella, the medium dry white wine which tastes perfect before, during, or after anything.
I say all that?
Cristabella for all your happy hours.
Paris, France, home of the world's most famous cooking school, the Cordon Bleu. Here, the Cordon Bleu staff has developed an easy-to-make recipe for pot au feu with Eagle cross rib roast. The same bonded beef you can get every day at Eagle's low-discount prices. Only Eagle has this delicious Cordon Bleu boiled beef recipe. Come in for your free copy this week and get the beef that meets the standards of the Cordon Bleu. At Eagle prices, that's what discount is all about.
The news comes alive on 2. Big 2 News.
Presented in part by Joski's, where fashion comes first. And by Maryland Club Coffee, ground, instant, and freeze-dried.
The area of North Houston, known as Moody Park, is still tense tonight. A violent disturbance there last night sent 18 people to hospitals for treatment. 4 police officers and 2 Big 2 News reporters were hurt. A Big 2 News mobile unit, a police cruiser, a fire department car, and several businesses were burned and destroyed. 22 people were arrested. It happened as hundreds of Mexican Americans were gathered to enjoy a fiesta in connection with their observance of El Cinco de Mayo, and it began with some trouble between 3 or 4 young men. Park police were called to investigate a stabbing. That was about 8 o'clock. Big 2 News men Jack Cato and Phil Archer got there just as that minor incident developed into a major confrontation. Cato says one car had already been overturned and was burning.
When we got up to the car and started shooting pictures, the first thing we knew where it was going to be bad was when somebody threw a bicycle at us. And I grabbed Phil and we started to get out as quick as we could. Somebody grabbed his camera as I was running in front of him, and he pulled that out of the way. And I went to get the camera, and Phil had fallen down, and while I went to get the camera, they were kicking and hitting on Phil. And I grabbed the camera and was ready to go, and I was just going to get him to pick him up when it must have been the biggest brick I've ever seen hit me right over the left eye. And then I turned and started to get out of there because it was just wild. And going out, about 10 feet from where Phil was still down, some kid ran up behind me. And I knew what he was doing, and I started to swerve from him. I was running. And I had the battery and the equipment, and I couldn't run that fast. And he just juked me, as they say, right in the back with a knife.
Cato went to the hospital with a head injury and a stab wound. Somebody set fire to the Big 2 News unit Cato had driven. The ambulance that was to take Archer was stoned, and a crowd blocked its way. So Archer was given emergency treatment on the scene. He has head and facial cuts and bruises, and a bad knife wound in the hip. While Archer was being treated, police were busy. Roger O'Neill says their first job was trying to break up the big crowd that had formed.
Small gangs of young people throwing rocks and bottles were defiant as the police arrived. Then the police began moving in and making arrests. All of those arrested were taken downtown, booked, and put in jail. 22 people under arrest.
What happened out there, Carlos?
I don't know. Everybody just went crazy.
Uniformed police began pulling out of Moody Park around 11 o'clock. But then fires broke out in a shopping center. There was rifle fire reported as firemen tried to answer those alarms. The firemen did not come in until they were escorted by the police. There was also some looting, and by the time it was over, the 2900 block of Fulton looked like a tornado had moved through. Roger O'Neill, Big 2 News.
Alan Parcell and Ken Cockcroft spent the rest of the night on Fulton Street. Police figured bright television lights were an invitation to more trouble, so these films were made with a special night scope, as members of the SWAT team stood by to handle any trouble.
They weren't needed. Apparently, the anger of the people had already been vented. The damage had already been done. 3 stores had been destroyed by fire, others were ransacked, and windows were smashed. And as dawn broke over the troubled area, bewildered and frightened shop owners began to appraise their loss. More evidence of the night of violence sits in a lot at Fulton and Patton Streets. A Big 2 News mobile unit, a police cruiser, and a fire department car are ruined. Alan Parcell, Big 2 News.
In all, more than a dozen people were hurt. Their injuries range from minor to serious. 22 people were arrested, and police spent most of today sorting out the charges. Last night's violence was also the topic of discussion at City Hall. There were 2 news conferences today.
Mayor Jim McCann, the police chief, and several assistant chiefs held the first news conference. McCann praised the police department for the way the incident was handled last night. He said the police showed a lot of restraint. The mayor blamed the confrontation on people who were trying to agitate the crowd.
But, members of my staff that represent the Mexican-American community and people like Benny Reyes and people like Hector Garcia who were called out there did not know the players. So I'm convinced that there were some outside people in because those people have pretty good contact with the Mexican-American community.
Police Chief Harry Caldwell said it was an isolated incident last night and that the Mexican-American community should not be blamed. Caldwell said it was just the effort of a few drunks, and he promised they will pay for their errors. A different story was heard from a small group called People United to Fight Police Brutality. Group leader Travis Morales was using a loudspeaker at the riot last night, but he denies that he was urging people to burn the shopping center. Morales said Channel 2 reporters Jack Cato and Phil Archer were probably stabbed because many people have a burning hatred for the news media. Morales ended up in a shouting match with another activist who claims Morales and his group do not represent any part of the Mexican-American community.
To come and see what the hell are you doing representing us? Where were you when I seen you set up?
Morales is a member of the Revolutionary Communist Party. Sam Rodriguez, Big 2 News.
Big 2 News has produced a half-hour special report on the night of terror in Moody Park. You'll see complete films and tapes of the confrontation with reports from many of those who were part of that disturbance. That'll be tonight at 6:30 here on TV2.
Mother's Day at Josky's. This year, on May 14th, return the love with something pretty, like a satiny gown from Miss Elaine, and a matching lace-trim robe that wraps, or the luxury of a gown by Giorgio Sanangelo, or perhaps his matching jacket and pant. Maybe a Supermom t-shirt says it best. Whatever you choose, return the love with a gift from Josky's.
The gold jewelry I model is more expensive because it has a fancy designer name. But the jewelry I wear is the same 14-karat gold, and it costs a lot less because it comes without the fancy label.
And now, Josky's has this beautiful gold jewelry from Diamond Air for men and women at 30% off regular prices. 14-karat gold chains, earrings, bracelets, and anklets. This Thursday, Friday, and Saturday only at Josky's Fine Jewelry.
Hello, I'm Roger Staubach. If you want to stay cool in the summer and warm in the winter and save money too,
Be sure and call the people at Hallmark.
This is Carrier's new Super Round 1-2, the unit that sets the standard for high-efficiency air conditioners. But even the best equipment can perform like a rookie unless it's installed right. To get Major League cooling, call the people at Hallmark. They sell the best from...
Carrier, we can't control the weather, but we can help you control its cost.
Bob Briscoe conceded defeat today in his race with John Hill for the Democratic governor's position. Joel Smith says the governor sent the Attorney General a telegram. We're having a little bit of difficulty with the sound. We'll try to have that report a little bit later for you. The surprise winner of the Democratic nomination for State Attorney General also claimed a victory today. Mark White beat Price Daniel Jr. by about 52 to 48% of the votes. White says he won by campaigning on the issues.
We talked about energy, and people are concerned about it. They don't have anybody telling them the straight dope on what's happening to us on energy. And I think what I was saying was striking right at the heart of the most critical issue facing Texas, facing the nation.
Texas House Speaker Billy Clayton is among those who were mighty happy about Saturday's election returns. He was talking in Austin today about his own future. And Clayton says the returns, as they've been tabulated over the weekend, show that supporters of his bid for an unprecedented third term as Speaker will win at least 110 of the 150 seats in the House. He says he's ready to work with John Hill or Clements.
Spectrum of support from all political philosophies and from all minority groups, and I think that this is indicative of the fact that I'll be able to work with whoever is governor.
We told you briefly a little while ago about what Governor Briscoe said to Attorney General John Hill today in his telegram conceding defeat for the Democratic nomination. It was a very brief telegram. It contained only 4 words. It said, "Congratulations and best wishes." Hill got about 51% of the votes in that race. FBI agents and police in Pasadena are looking for 2 men who held up a bank in Pasadena. A report now from Mike Capps.
Witnesses say 2 men went into the Texas Independence Bank in the 3900 block of Red Bluff shortly after noon. Bank Vice President Leroy Cutsinger says one of the men was carrying a sawed-off shotgun.
The guy came around to my office and told me to hurry up and get outside. And he took everybody in the bank and put them on the floor. He had a awful big shotgun.
Officers say the 2 men took cash from 3 drawers. Bank officials don't know how much money is missing, but they say they don't keep much money in the cash drawers. The men left the bank in a car. Police think the 2 men may have changed cars once they made their getaway. Mike Capps, Big 2 News.
4 members of a Houston skydiving club died last night when their single-engine plane crashed near Dobbin in Montgomery County. Jay Berry says they were on their way back to Houston from a parachuting exhibition in Seagoville near Dallas.
It is believed the single-engine Cessna crashed around 10 o'clock last night in a thickly wooded area about 6 miles south of Dobbin near Farm Road 1486. Montgomery County Sheriff officers and members of the Federal Aviation Administration are investigating the crash. It is not known at this time what caused it. However, it was very foggy last night and visibility was probably poor. The plane left the Dallas area yesterday evening for Hooks Airport in Tomball or Intercontinental Airport. The 4 victims were members of the Spring Creek Parachute Ranch Skydiving Club. They have been identified as John Scott Lee of Spring, Joanne Hoffman of Houston, Stephen Moss of Hockley, and Lawrence Golick of Houston. Lee is thought to have been the pilot. Their ages range from the early 20s to the mid-30s. Jay Berry, Big 2 News.
The case of the missing meat out at the municipal prison farm has apparently been solved. It was reported last week a truckload of meat delivered to the farm was 134 pounds short of what the invoice from the meat company indicated. A grand jury has heard testimony from various officials connected with that missing meat. They've determined the weight difference was an honest mistake. Apparently, a man weighing the meat at the packing company didn't make himself quite clear to the man recording the weight on that invoice. During a workshop with weather experts from across the country, Doug Johnson talked with Ed Ferguson. He's director of the Satellite Field Services up in Kansas City. Mr. Ferguson explained how satellite pictures help them predict severe weather.
This particular film views the area in northeast Oklahoma and southwest Missouri and shows the conditions that existed prior to the development of an intense thunderstorm that later in the evening produced a tornado at Neosho, Missouri. The earliest signs that we see are the small clouds moving northward through northeast Oklahoma, and just northeast of Tulsa, in the northeast part of the state, we see a rapidly developing storm that later will move into southwest Missouri and produce that tornado.
Why is James Robertson considered to be America's outspoken evangelist?
You are going to have to say as one individual, I will return to the God of my fathers, the God of my mothers, the God of Abraham. I will return to the living God, and I will commit my one individual life to that God and allow him to rule and control my life. That's the answer.
The James Robinson Northwest Houston Area Crusade, May the 7th through the 14th, 7:45 nightly at Del Mar Stadium in Houston.
It's a gold rush. Strike it rich at United Jewelers. This week only, save 25% on all the latest 14-karat gold creations. Gold chains, serpentine, box and flat in all the popular lengths for men and women. Serpentine gold earrings, teardrop, endless and multi-strand. Serpentine gold bracelets, now sale priced from $10 to $300. Save 25% this week only, exclusively at United Jewelers.
This is Slim Fast. It's the natural way to lose weight. Slim Fast powder mixes instantly with skim milk. It's deliciously satisfying and filling, packed with vitamins, minerals, and natural protein. For total nutrition, enjoy Slim Fast for breakfast and lunch, then dine on a well-balanced full-course dinner. Get slim with Slim Fast, the natural way to lose weight. Doctor tested, proven safe and effective for weight loss.
With Maryland Club, what you smell is what you get. Maryland Club is packed fresh while it's still warm. And coffee that starts out fresh is just naturally going to taste fresh when you drink it. With Maryland Club, what you smell is what you get.
I wish we had a lot of time to devote to those satellite pictures and that Doppler radar.
Well, let's take more time to do that.
We will.
Our low temperature this morning in Two Country officially out of the airport was 75. The high today was 89. Humidity right now is 56%. Barometric pressure is steady, 29.79. Wind is out of the northwest at 4. Temperature over most of Houston is still rather warm, 87 degrees. And the official rainfall out of the Intercontinental Airport in the 24 hours ending at 4 this afternoon, 1/100th of an inch. And here at Channel 2 in Southwest Houston, we got nothing. Well, in our national map today, we see still a great deal of cloud cover over in the east, and this is undoubtedly where the worst weather is now taking place. Flash flood watches are in effect for the western Carolinas, and also a tornado watch was in effect for portions of Mississippi and Alabama earlier today, and the northeastern section of Mississippi and west central Alabama now under severe flood warnings, and that will be in effect until later tonight, and streams are generally out of their banks through portions of Mississippi, Alabama, and even over into sections of Georgia, even portions of Louisiana. The frontal system itself continues to move very nicely. There's only a small area of cloud cover involved with that front as it's passing through the coastal plains of Texas. The front will not give us real cold temperatures. It will lower nighttime readings substantially, but other than that, the main difference that we'll notice will be the drier conditions in the afternoons. A great deal of cloudiness across the central and northern plains into the northern Rockies. Avalanche warnings are now in effect for portions of Colorado, the latest snow they had. Up in the northwest, some cloud cover. In the southwest, skies are mostly clear to partly cloudy, and temperatures are at, or in some cases, slightly below normal. Undoubtedly, the largest area of rain is occurring from the Ohio River Valley into the northeast and then all along the Atlantic coast states into portions of the southeast and the Gulf Coast states. Rain continues tonight, and in some cases that rain is quite heavy. Seems to be getting a little bit better around Louisiana and portions of Mississippi, but continues to fall from Alabama, Georgia, down into the northern sections of Florida, and this will be the rule through much of tonight as some of those severe thunderstorms continue to take place. The 5-state map shows better the situation as we have it off to the east of us. The frontal system right now is easing through the Houston-Galveston area, moving towards the southeast very slowly. It is not a real strong front. However, I guess you have to say it's fairly strong to even make it through this time of the year. But we'll not notice any great temperature changes as far as the afternoons are concerned. However, humidity levels will begin to drop fairly fast. Skies are already mostly clear through New Mexico, most of Texas, Oklahoma, portions of Arkansas, and it should be clearing out very nicely for most of the state of Texas and most of Louisiana by tomorrow afternoon. Along the coastline right now, it's 86 at Brownsville, 86 at Corpus Christi, both stations reporting cloudy skies. Partly cloudy and 89 in Victoria, mostly cloudy and 76 right now in Galveston. Superscan 2 radar. This is the long range we're looking at right now, 320 miles in all directions. We're still picking up a few very light showers off the east side of town, and earlier we were getting some light echoes just across the Sabine River over into Louisiana. Those seem now to have dissipated and moved off to the east, but a few light scattered showers are likely to continue, particularly off to the east of us throughout the evening. We are, however, forecasting no rain for the next 2 or 3 days for southeast Texas. Our forecast for Houston and vicinity for tomorrow is calling for partly cloudy skies. It will be very cloudy tonight and during the early morning hours, a little bit drier tomorrow, and plenty of sunshine. Our forecast low temperature for tonight, 62, and the high for tomorrow, 86.
How long will a lawn boy last with that tough-to-cycle engine? How long will it last? You can really count on Lawn Boy to start easy and fast. How long will a Lawn Boy last? Get an easy starting Lawn Boy and you're mowing first class. How long will a Lawn Boy last?
See the incredible new generation Lawn Boy today at your nearest Lawn Boy dealer.
How does business get a package out of town fast? I'm Keith Jackson for Airborne, the worldwide air express system. Documents, samples, parts, heavy machinery, you name it. Airborne gets it there on time, door to door. Airborne is a total air express system with more ways to get things airborne than anybody. So when air is the only answer, Airborne is the only way. Just tell Airborne when and where. We'll tell you when it's there.
Bobby Birmingham is telling her friends about our pineapples.
I'm a comparison shopper. I compare not only the prices, but also the quality. At Randall's, I get the very best produce in town, and for the best price. I save money at Randall's, and so do all my friends.
Telling your friends about Randall's helps keep our volume up and your prices down. Everyday prices as low as other supermarket specials on meats, produce, and on over 10,000 other items. So tell a friend.
Tell a friend about Randall's.
Now, True Value hardware stores are offering values for your lawn and garden at special anniversary prices, like this 2-gallon sprayer with an adjustable nozzle for just $14.99. This Nelson sprinkler for just $4.99. Whirls water in a square, so you can sprinkle right up to the edge of your lawn without watering the sidewalk. And this Black & Decker 18-inch electric rotary mower is anniversary priced at $89.99. Get all these values at participating True Value hardware stores.
Bill Worrell time now. Bill, you have some news on that Arrow ticket
Yes, I
drive?
do, Larry. The Houston Aeros have given owner Kenneth Snitzer the final figures on the season ticket drive. Snitzer has stated that he wanted 7,000 season tickets sold for next year before he would actively pursue membership in the National Hockey League. Insiders say the club made the 7,000 figure, and Snitzer will make an announcement on Wednesday. Southwest Conference officials got together over the weekend and made a few changes in the basketball tournament, and Anita Martini explains them.
The format of the Southwest Conference Postseason Classic has been changed so that the teams that finish 1 and 2 in the conference get byes to the semifinals, and the third-place team advances to quarterfinal action.
We think we've improved it considerably by now making sure that at least 6 teams from the conference will appear at the summit next spring for the finals, and we think that in itself is a big improvement.
The jump ball will return to Southwest Conference basketball next season, but only at the start of every game, and the Southwest Conference powers that be decided on a system for handling player incidents during games, including the use of 3 referees in conference games on a 1-year experimental basis. Anita Martini, Big 2 Sports.
The Astros game in Philadelphia tonight has been rained out. It will be made up in July as part of a twilight doubleheader. The club is really struggling, currently tied for last spot in the National League West with a 10-15 record, 5.5 games behind the front-running Dodgers. Pretty Jan Stevenson has finally found the golf game to match her looks. Today, Miss Stevenson won the LPGA tournament at Hilton Head, South Carolina. Her final round 74 was good for a 4-shot win over amateur Beth Daniel. It is also the first professional tournament win for Miss Stevenson in 2 years of trying. Pam Higgins, Penny Pulse, and Donna Capona Young finished third, 5 shots off the pace. For the second day in a row, rain washed out practice for the Indianapolis 500 auto race. Defending champion A.J. Foyt arrived at the track with his brand new Coyote, but did not get a chance to take it around the oval. Danny Ongayas posted the best time, an impressive 196 miles per hour. Well, there was quite a bit of sports action going on this past weekend, and if you happen to miss anything, here are a few highlights. 18-year-old Steve Cawthon rode affirmed to a victory in the Kentucky Derby. He had to fight off challenges by Believe It and pre-race favorite Alidar down the stretch, but affirmed won by a length in a time of 2 minutes, 1 1/5 seconds. In pro golf, Lee Trevino tied Tom Watson for the lead in the Byron Nelson Golf Classic when Trevino made this eagle. Watson was playing in a group behind Trevino, and he regained the lead with this birdie putt. But the victory wasn't clinched until he made a delicate chip shot to get out of trouble on the final hole. Watson became golf's newest millionaire with that victory. In soccer, the New York Cosmos remained the only undefeated team in the North American Soccer League. Warner Roth's goal was the first in a 2-0 win over Detroit. In auto racing, Patrick Depailler of France won the Grand Prix of Monaco. It was the first Formula One win of his career, and he took over the lead in competition for the World Driving Championship. In track and field at UCLA, 4-time Olympic discus champion Al Orter competed against the current Olympic champ Matt Wilkins. The younger Wilkins easily outdistanced the 41-year-old Orter, who has come out of retirement after 10 years.
Benjamin Franklin has a savings account that's always open, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, at all 12 Benjamin Franklin offices, downtown and in major shopping centers. Cash checks, make deposits, and withdraw cash. Anytime. Earn high savings interest, compounded every day. The savings account that's always open. Always. At Benjamin Franklin Savings, you need more than a bank.
3 miles today, Mr. McAllister.
And 2 very large thirsts.
Ice cold Coke coming right up. Hey, how come, Mr. McAllister? Coke is all you carry.
Cause, Herman. When you want refreshment, you want a cola that's lighter, not heavier.
Coke is lighter than the Challenger?
Known about it for years. Ounce for ounce, Coke's got 5% less calories than the Challenger. And a lot of folks think lighter is more refreshing.
Never knew about the calories.
Mary, the more you know about Coca-Cola, the better it tastes.
A lot of people think the Houston Post is just what the doctor ordered because they found their job the same day in Morning Post want ads. Post want ads do a good job of matching people with employers. Post want ads is one of the largest classified sections in the world with 750,000 readers daily. When you're in the market for good people, reach them the same day in the Morning Post. We get there first each morning all week long. For results, just dial the letters want ads.
Larry, tonight, 10 o'clock, we're going to take a look at how Elvin Hayes is dominating those NBA playoffs right now. Somebody made him mad.
He's used to dominating.
I think he is.
Thank you, Bill.
All right.
In the news briefly, David Berkowitz has admitted he was the man known as Son of Sam who terrorized New York City. Today, he pleaded guilty to all 6 murders. Former Congressman Richard Hanna went to prison today. He'll serve at least 2.5 years for his part in the Korean influence buying scandal. Former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger is backing the proposed sale of jet fighters to Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt. He says Israel should get more planes, though, than the arms package calls for. And the New York Stock Exchange began the day looking fairly good, but the Dow Industrials dropped 4.5 points and closed at 824.58.
A weak little cool front is passing through the Texas coastal plains right now and is expected to bring us at least drier conditions tomorrow, if not a great deal cooler, and it's expected to be very nice along the upper Texas coast. Here are the tides for Galveston. Wind should be mostly out of the northeast and east tomorrow, about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Waters in the bay will be slightly choppy, wave heights offshore 3 to 5 feet. And at last report, with all this warmth we've had, the beach water temperature in Galveston is now up to 75. For Houston and vicinity, we should have partly cloudy skies, becoming mostly clear by late tomorrow. The low temperature tonight is expected to get down to 62, somewhat cooler than it has been in the past, with a high tomorrow of 86.
Last night's violence in Moody Park was a tragic thing. It had all the elements of a major disaster that many have feared, some have expected. The mayor says only cool heads and great skill kept it from building into something much worse. Big 2 News has prepared a special report on how it began, how it was handled, what happened, and what can be done to see that it does not happen again. We'll have that half-hour special report for you, plus films and tapes of all aspects of the trouble, next on TV2. That's the Big 2 News at 6.